You bought a simple TV box, the SRT 425, and have no idea how you can put it into operation. What you have to pay attention to, no problem. We will show you in today's video how it works. Before we get started, let's take a look at what's in here. Which connections? Where does something go? We start with the antenna, which is packed here. Otherwise we can't watch TV and take a look at what's in here and how the connection is, and what we have to pay attention to. We open the box now and see the antenna here. Here is the connection, and otherwise there is nothing major to say here. The cable is of course included. On the one hand it is for screwing, on the other for plugging in for the box, and what is also included here is a small manual, and we don't actually need it at all, because the whole thing explains itself here. As I said, there is a manual. Here you can see how you have to align the antenna and how you have to connect the whole thing, but as I said, it explains itself. You don't have to do anything great. Here we have the cable. It is long enough so that you can position the antenna really anywhere. That's what I said before. On the one hand for screwing, this is screwed on the antenna. On the other hand, the plug goes into the box. Here we still have the stand. This is actually only plugged in at the back so that the antenna stands, so that it does not tip over. And the antenna is simply plugged in here or the bracket, so the whole thing holds and cannot tip over. So just a little click and the whole thing holds. Now the antenna or cable is connected here. Once you have it for screwing, it is screwed directly onto the antenna here. You probably know it from a SAT cable or a satellite receiver, so just screw it in, and the other end goes into the receiver or into the SIMPLY TV box, so that the whole thing is then connected to each other. So very simple. We continue, and next is the Simply One box, our receiver in this case. Let's take a look at what is packed here and if we still need something. So we have our receiver here, which is of course included. We'll look at the connections afterwards. First, as I said, what is included in the scope of delivery. Then, as you can see, we have a lot of advertising here. A lot of advertising material. And there is also a quick start guide on what you have to do. But it explains itself. Besides, we are here to show you how to install the whole thing correctly and easily. Then the remote control must not be missing. This is also included. We'll take a look at it afterwards, what buttons are on it. And even the remote control is included here. So remote control and batteries are of course also included. These must not be missing here either, although many manufacturers no longer include batteries. There are even batteries included here. And last but not least, the power supply. The power supply must not be missing, otherwise we cannot operate our box. So we would have everything complete here. Here again, everything at a glance. As I said, the receiver is included. Then you still have the remote control, which is also included, as well as the power supply or the power supply. And finally the batteries so that you can get started. And with that we come to the connections of our box. On the side is the USB connection. Here you can either use a hard drive instead of a receiver or a USB stick if you want to play something. Or ultimately a mouse or keyboard. On the back we have the antenna connection. Here comes the antenna or the cable. HDMI TV, the connection to the TV. Again, USB connection. If you want to record something, as I said, or if you want to play something, or a keyboard or mouse. Then we have the optical connection for the stereo system. And ultimately an Ethernet connection, i.e. a LAN connection, if you want to connect the box directly to the internet. And the power connection. Of course, our box also has Wi-Fi, but some say no, I want it directly with the network cable. That's what this Ethernet connection is for. These are the connections that our box has. At the front, you only have the sensor, and there is nothing more that can be said here. As I said, there are no more connections, so the whole thing is complete. By the way, it is also an Android box that is smart. So here comes the HDMI cable to the TV. Connect the whole thing with the power hole, and that's basically it. We are already at the installation and are first asked to hold down the volume minus key plus the OK key until we connect. And that happened here. We have now connected to the remote control. Next, of course, we have to connect to our network. Let's do that and say network connection. You can either connect with Wi-Fi or you can do the whole thing with your network cable. If you prefer the method with Wi-Fi, then you just enter the password here and then on this box. Then you will be connected to your network and can continue. And the next point is that you now have to register with your Google account. And you do that by clicking on Register, and now enter your account details. Just enter the email address, and when you have done that, you only have to click on the arrow on the right. And how could it be otherwise? Then you have to enter your password. Now many people will ask themselves, what do I need the whole thing for? I just want to watch TV. This is for the case that you want to download apps, for example. You want to record a show. You can also rewind it. The whole thing only works when you have an internet connection. Otherwise, you can neither record a show nor rewind or watch interactive shows, such as the Mediathek. That only works when you have an internet connection. Click on this arrow and on Continue and now enter the password. The next menu item is the use conditions. We have to accept these. Then you click on Continue and on OK. And when you click on OK, these options come up. I don't want to use standard. I don't want everyone to know where my TV is. Therefore, click on Deactivate. I also don't want to get mails to make Android better. That's why I have to deactivate the whole thing here. Deactivate, and if you have done that, then click on Accept. So the checkbox is away and on Accept. Of course, you can also leave the whole thing inside if you don't mind. I don't want that. Now click on Continue. We are at Google Assistant. Here we have to click on Continue. You can control the box with your voice. If you are looking for something or want to do something in the settings, you can do the whole thing comfortably with your voice. So continue. If you want Google Assistant to search in all your apps, you can leave it and click on No Thanks. In other words, you talk into it and say, I want this app here. Then it is searched. I say no thanks. I don't have to, I won't use it. That's why on No Thanks. You can also leave it here if you want to. If you want to receive personal results, say the TV notices or the box what you are looking at. Accordingly, advertisements are displayed here. No thanks. Or you get recommendations for shows. So no thanks. I don't want any emails from the Google Assistant either. Why? That's why on No. So don't always click on yes, but read what is written here. So in this case, no. Now you have the option to install all these apps at once. These are the tightest apps. You can either click yes on Continue, or delete the box with all the following apps installed. Then it will not be installed. With the arrow key to the right, you get a small overview of the functions of our box. What does that mean? You now press the arrow key to the right, and the whole thing as often as you get to the start screen. So right. Again to the right. As I said, all the functions are presented here in the overview or in the quick run. Again to the right. And when we have done that, should our start screen come. Here we have it. This is our start screen with the most common app, or with the apps. And of course we will start Simply TV next. And here you choose the region where you live and click on the OK button. Automatic transmission search, and now we are looking for transmitters. Take your time. It can take a few minutes until the box has found the channels here. If you don't have a reception here or signal strength 0, don't worry. Mine was also 0 or no signal, and still transmitters were found here. Therefore, do not immediately stop the transmission search, because nothing was found for 2 minutes, but have patience. I only have 12 transmitters here, so position the antenna, try where is best. Best, of course, next to the window, so you have optimal reception and more channels than I found. And that's basically it. We just have to click on Continue, and next we have to select the OF2S channel, which region, Lower Austria, Burgenland, whatever. And now the portal is started, and here you have an overview of the broadcasts. So here on Continue, installation is complete. And here's an overview of the current broadcasts, what is currently playing. You can then categorize the whole thing. Then there are different slots for streaming services. This is also possible here. As you can see, there is a lot here. If you have any questions about this tutorial, use the comment function. We say thank you for watching and goodbye.